Hola, culés. Good news soon, potentially. Potentially. I'm wearing my old Pedri merch from last year. I think there are still some of these available on my website. I'll link it down below. I'm going to stop shilling. Also, you can get those posters there. Those posters that are always in my background. All right, shill over. Nico Williams might come to Barcelona. It's true. Okay. It's a little early to start talking about it, but, I know how to jump the gun better than anybody else. And we're going to do it. And I already have a thumbnail ready for the video for why Barcelona signed Nico Williams because I made it last year and it didn't happen. So it doesn't really matter. Apparently, Nico Williams and his agent held conversations with Barcelona today. And once I get this camera all set up, I'm taking it pretty seriously. I seriously am. He has been holding talks with Bayern over potentially moving to Bayern because I think his move away to Athletic Club is coming together. I don't know if it's going to be Barcelona because there are other clubs interested. The problem, right, is that Nico Williams is on pretty high wages due to the way Athletic Club just kind of runs their whole setup. They are able to pay pretty high salaries and they need to hold on to these players because they can only sign a certain amount because they only sign players from the Basque region in Spain and France. They're able to pay Nico Williams a lot, which means not only would Barcelona have to pay this release clause, which is substantial, and also the way clauses work is that they usually have to be paid right away. And Barcelona have already just paid $25 million right away. And the way contracts kind of run nowadays is they're usually deferred over, the length of the contract that they sign. So say Joan Garcia, say if he were to just be bought for $25 million, signed for 5 years, that $25 million euro transfer fee would be spread out each year, costing the club about $5 million plus wages for that year. For accounting reasons, that makes it a lot easier. Now, Barcelona have already had to shell out $25 million for this calendar year, and they're talking to Nico Williams. So say that does happen, they'll probably have to pay Athletic Club that transfer fee immediately, which is a lot considering I haven't seen that Barcelona's back to the 1-to-1, and even if they are, they need to come up with that money somehow. Now, they've made more money this year probably because of jersey sales being the highest they have been in ever, according to some sources saying that this Barca kit is just selling so well, which honestly makes sense. I have it in the drawer behind me because it's so sick, and I wear it all the time. I wear it a lot more than the black one. And I was also thinking about giving away some of my old jerseys that I don't wear to thank you guys for watching the second channel and everything. But I'm still trying to figure out how that might work and everything. But, subscribe and actually follow me on Instagram. I'll keep the link because if I do it, it'll probably be via there because it's just easier to get into contact with people that way. But I think the Nico Williams signing, obviously it makes a lot of sense. We've been talking about it for a while. He's not I really think he is a pretty perfect winger, actually. His stats weren't phenomenal this year, and like Luis Diaz had better stats this season. I think Nico was injured more. He's on a worse team than Liverpool as well, so it's not the best comparison. It's also very hard to score in Spain. I would argue harder than in the Premier League, where teams don't really sit back nearly as much, and especially playing in a team where Luis Diaz is playing in a team with Salah on the other side, that opens up a lot of space for Diaz, where Nico Williams is usually the focal point. I know Sanset had a great season, and so he attracted a lot of the defenders, and Iñaki's always around and everything. But the point is, I really do think we've seen Nico for the Spain national team. We've seen his relationship with Lamine Yamal. Actually, Lamine Yamal did post something as well. Let's see if I can find it on Instagram, but basically inferring that he hears these rumors, he knows the club is talking, and he's probably talking to Nico about the whole thing and getting excited about it. Lamine Yamal recently, just a couple minutes ago, posted something on his story to kind of shout out to his boy, Nico Williams, talk about the whole thing. And I get it. It makes sense. These guys are best friends, and at least strictly for morale in the dressing room, I think it's a great signing. There's so many question marks with what Luis Diaz would bring. He's older, too. Nico Williams is only 24, I believe. He might even be younger than that. And because of that, there's a lot of potential. He's only 22. Wow, that's wild to think about. And the fact that, this is a reasonable signing that I know Nico is keen on. We've been knowing this, right? It's an obvious move for him. And it would be a better move than to Bayern. Not that he wouldn't fit in, and I'm sure he could get paid a lot and have a starting spot forever. But the problem is that, he doesn't speak the language. His best friend isn't playing there. And I think his eye has been set on Barcelona for a while. Now, is he going to get a perfect starting spot the entire time? Almost certainly not, because Rafinha is there. And Hansi Flick has talked about that his setup would be Rafinha through the middle in that number 10 spot, kind of where Dani Olmo played all season, which brings into question where he would be. And maybe we would sell Pablo Torre and maybe even Fermin if that goes across. I don't want to sell Fermin for anything. He's the reason my main channel blew up. My video on him was my first video to really go global and to get some pull on the channel. So I don't want to let him go. But the point is, Nico is going to have to fight for some minutes, or he's going to share it. And that's not a terrible thing, right? He had some injury issues last year. And just in squad management, I think it is a good thing for his career and for Lamine Yamal as well, because I know Nico doesn't play on the right, but having a winger on the left allows us to play kind of exactly how we played this season, where we have primarily a touchline winger on the right in Lamine Yamal, who can cut in but does create a lot on the right side, brings a lot of attention towards him. And Nico can do that and allow us to bench Lamine and just kind of shift our tactics over, where maybe Rafinha plays out on the right, or maybe Fermin Lopez even plays over there and just inverts. But both Rafinha and Fermin can do it. I'm sure Danny could as well. And that, provides much more depth, gives us a lot more rotation. And obviously that's important. We saw Lamine play 1 billion minutes this season. And it had an effect on him in a couple games, not all of them, but enough that I think this could be substantially beneficial for the side overall. I'm still worried about the financials and concerned about how they would pull it together. We've seen Laporta figure it out in the past couple of years, whether it's, I guess, approved by all, like UEFA is having a problem with Barcelona's old financial issues. And obviously, we've seen a lot of issues with whatever the name of the president of La Liga, I forgot his name, has been doing to kind of make it hard for Barcelona to really move, to do anything in the window, like trying to register players. And that would definitely be an issue for Nico. I think he's got guaranteed play time pretty much anywhere he goes, and it's a big risk for Barcelona to take that on, and you can't really guarantee him minutes. I'm sure they're going to try to, but I would be interested to see how that looks, how those negotiations are, and what Barcelona's situation is about selling players. Because just going based off, there aren't a lot of guys that should be let go of, or that could possibly be let go of, that are worth that much. I don't think we can really lose a center back right now. I know there's been a lot of talk about Araujo by the fans. He hasn't looked good for Uruguay so far. I mean, I saw a couple mistakes from him. I didn't watch the whole games to be fully transparent with you guys. But the point is, I don't think we can lose a center back, really. Lenglet was just terminated, which is great. Big up my boy Clement Lenglet. I'm looking more like him every single day, him and Trincao. And I'm just grateful that he did that. He forgave like 30 million euros or something of his contract, which is, it's just not something players do. And yeah, he's made a ton of money for not playing for Barcelona, but that is an incredibly honorable thing to do, and especially from like normal people, right? Looking at that, saying you forgave 35 million euros, and that's big for me as how I'm going to look at Lenglet going forward. The point is that gives us a little bit room to sign a player like Nico Williams. I think that's part of the reason these conversations are going on now. Part of the reason that we're actually kind of going after it. The Luis Diaz thing surprised me too, because he's going to be on a decent wage and he's going to be expensive. Liverpool was saying like 80 million because they don't want to let him go. They don't want to sell him. They just had to re-sign Salah, and they're kind of unsure of the whole Frimpong. They just signed Wirtz, and so I think they want a little bit of stability. I'm sure Arne Slot wants a player that he knows what he'll get out of them, and I think Luis Diaz is that. I know there's been a lot of talk about Rafa Leao as well, because he is going to be available. Milan's kind of a mess right now, so I think a lot of people are looking at that as an opportunity. The fact is that he's not going to be cheap. Sorry, I'm touching my hair because I'm getting a haircut soon because it's a mess. So send me haircuts on Instagram if you guys think I should get a certain type of haircut. R9 haircut if I hit 1 million subscribers on this video. Promise. Cross my heart. I'll do it. But the point is here, I don't think there's really a better option out there than Nico. There's some cheaper options. Malik Fofana, I talked about that over the winter. There will be some cheaper options available. They talked about signing Varela from a Croatian team who was part of the Porto academy, that they are apparently willing to go out there and sue Barcelona if they end up signing him. It's like a whole thing. Of course it is with this club, right? But I think right now there's not really a better option out there, and Luis Diaz feels like a stopgap to me, where it's not for the future, where Nico Williams is 22 years old, playing this well with his best friend, and he offers a much different profile to every other player at Barcelona, where he plays on the touchline like Lamine can, but he has breakaway pace. We saw a lot of it in the Nations League matches, where Nico just runs into space, and he'll open up play a lot. I would love to see him and Balde next to each other. I wish Spain took Balde. I think Cucurella was good, but having the pace of Balde back there could have been really, really beneficial. You could have even played him at right back when Leao moved over there, because I just think having someone who can keep up with him would have helped a lot. But the point is, him and Balde next to each other, breaking into space, could be really dangerous. And that's just not a profile Barcelona has. Rafinha does run into space really well, but he's not on the touchline. That's the difference there. And if Nico Williams is signed, or any winger is signed, Rafinha won't really play there a ton unless it's a rotational thing, because he'll be central most of the time. I'm not saying Rafinha shouldn't start either, by the way. His stats and the way he contributed to this team going forward is ridiculous, and I respect that. I know I've been pushing the Lamine Yamal Ballon d'Or point, and I want to make it clear. I think Rafinha has been fantastic for us this season, and he will, going forward, be just as fantastic, I believe. But for Nico Williams signing, I'm just trying to talk about how that could turn the team, and I think he fits into the squad wonderfully. I don't know how Leao fits into the squad. I don't know what he brings. That's a big problem with him that they've talked about a lot. You're not sure if he's going to give 100%, kind of like Joao Felix, where you're just not sure what that attitude is going to look like, what his tracking back is going to look like, what he's really going to contribute. And I think he's a superstar, probably a better player, probably a higher peak than Nico Williams, you could argue. But right now, fitting into this squad, not messing up the chemistry, and being somewhat reasonably affordable for a winger nowadays at 22 years old. Like, I think we forget that, because he's been a factor for Athletic Club for a couple years, and we've been talking about him so much. He's only 22. For a player that young with this much potential, usually they're a lot more than 60 million. I'm seeing numbers like 60 to 80 million for Gittins at Dortmund, which you see once in a while is great, but then he goes for a couple games. And so to get Nico, who has this much chemistry with this squad for this much, I really like it. And I think overall this would be a huge move for this team. And of course, I will upload a video on the main channel if it does go through, or I feel like it's going to go through, talking more about it, going more into detail about how he might fit tactically, and just what my feelings are about it. Because giving you a teaser, I really like Nico. I think he'd be a great signing, and I've wanted it to happen for a while. There's a couple signings that just feel right. This feels right. This just feels really, really good to me, and I'd like to see him in the squad. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm just excited to see what happens, and I think you guys will be too. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace, everybody.